If you've ever shopped because you were bored or you felt stressed or simply because you had a bad day, well, you're not alone. I'm Erica, a personal stylist with a master's degree in psychology. I help women shop with intention and actually build a wardrobe that works for their real life. In today's video, I'm sharing 5 super easy and simple practical tips that you can start doing to stop spending money on things you don't need. And make sure you stick around for tip number 5 because that mindset shift is what really changed things for me and for my clients. So when you want to stop spending money on things you don't need, the first thing you should think about having is a shopping list. If you're anything like me, it's like going to Target without a shopping list. You end up with so many things in your cart that you didn't really have an intention of buying and that you don't actually really need, but in the moment you thought it might be something fun to have. So when you want to build a wardrobe with intention and actually only spend money on the things that you need, have a shopping list. So the things that go on your shopping list are things that you find that you're missing. What are the gaps in your wardrobe, in your closet? The things that would make it easier to put together outfits. So let's say you go to put together an outfit in the morning and it's a cooler day. So you put on a blouse and a pair of jeans and maybe a pair of flats. And all you have is a winter coat or the fleece jacket that you throw on when you're walking the dog. But you're missing that essential layering piece, like a cardigan or a little jacket. That's something that would go on your shopping list. Also, I have found over the years when I've gone shopping just to shop, a lot of times I'll end up with things I don't need and I don't really like. So if you want to get better with not spending money on things that you're not going to use, you have to be more intentional and bring more awareness into your shopping habits. The next tip is to be intentional when you choose to shop. So if you've had a bad day at work or you're stressed out because you're picking up the kids and you're running late and nothing seems to be going right, and you just are having one of those days where it feels really hard and just scrolling on your phone and looking for something to buy or going to the mall to buy something feels like it would be a way that you can release some of that stress. But in those moments, it's probably not the best time to shop. When we're shopping because we're stressed or because we've had a bad day or even because we're bored, those likely aren't the times that you're going to make your best purchase decisions. A lot of times when we were buying things, it's not really about the item we're buying. There's a lot of emotion that is involved, especially if we're in one of these heightened stressful states. We might be trying to buy a feeling like comfort or escape, or maybe we're trying to find some excitement in our life. So when we're buying something or when we're choosing to shop, make sure you're making a conscious choice of when to shop. Now, that's not to say that you should never be scrolling on your phone if you've had a bad day or you're bored or stressed, but those aren't going to be the best times to actually add items to cart and to make a purchase. The best way that we can stop the habit of shopping and overspending on things we don't need is with awareness. If you've had a bad day and maybe in the past what you've always done is shop as a way to relieve that stress and that difficulty, think about stopping yourself in that moment and ask yourself, is this a good time to shop? And take a moment and be honest with yourself. And maybe the answer is going to be no, but you're still going to choose to shop anyway. But at least you're starting to change the pattern. You're starting to interrupt the impulse of shopping and bringing more awareness into your spending habits. I think if you're someone that finds yourself shopping as a way to deal with your emotions, I think something really easy you can do is to create a instead of shopping list. And you can have this somewhere on your phone. You can print it out and put it near your computer so that anytime you are feeling that impulse to shop, you'll be reminded to read through the items on the list. And that list can include things like taking a walk or calling a friend, reading a book, exercising, or maybe you want to shop your closet during that time. Starting to create new habits and bringing more intention and awareness into the moments where you might be feeling more stressed or bored. This is a great way to just live more intentionally and not just with your clothes in your closet and your spending, but also with your life. And if you want to take it one step further, which I recommend, is if you are someone that wants to stop spending money on things you don't need, then think about what the bigger reason is. What's your why behind that? Why do you want to stop spending money on things you don't need? Maybe it's because you want your life to be simplified. Maybe you want to get out of debt. Maybe you want to save money for a trip. Whatever it may be, take a moment and think about your why. And to take it a step further, write it down somewhere. Either write it in your journal, or even better, write it out on a piece of paper or print it out on a piece of paper and hang it up somewhere that you can see it every day. And anytime you feel that urge to shop, go back and reread your intention. This is a great way to just bring more awareness into your habits. The next tip is to do an honest declutter or closet edit to discover what you already have. I've had so many personal styling clients that when we've gone through their closets, we've done a closet edit, we've organized their pieces, there's so many times that either they realize they have 5 of the same thing, 5 pairs of black pants, or 5 of the same tank tops. If you're someone that's only wearing a small percentage of your closet, there's a lot of clothes in there that are taking up space and making it hard to see what you actually have, especially if your closet isn't organized and you have pieces kind of mismatched all over the place in your closet. If there's not a system, it's going to be really hard to know what you have. So going through and decluttering, seeing what you have, organizing your closet, letting go of the pieces that just don't work for you anymore. This is something that is a great step to move forward, to be more intentional, not only with what you have, but also with what you're choosing to bring into your closet. Having more items can really lead to decision fatigue, especially if they're pieces that don't fit right or need tailoring or are from a different phase in your life or don't work with your personal style anymore. Then it just becomes a lot of clutter in your closet, which can lead to more buying. So if you haven't done a real thorough closet edit or declutter, I highly recommend scheduling some time for yourself to do this. This will change how you feel about your clothes. This is always the first step that I do with my styling clients because it is so important as a way not only to figure out what you have, what you're wearing, and also what you're missing, but it's a great way to just bring awareness into your closet so that when you are bringing new pieces into your closet, there's a lot more intention and thought that goes into them, which will make it more likely that you'll end up wearing the items. And this next tip is the one that's probably going to make the biggest change for you, and that is to turn inward and choose to work on yourself. Personal development over retail therapy is what's really going to change your relationship with spending, your relationship with your clothes, and your relationship with yourself. Once you start to bring more awareness into your shopping habits, you can start to replace some of those habits with some habits that are going to be more about self-care, which is really the bigger goal here. So whether that's journaling or exercising, working on your self-worth makes you less likely to outsource your value to what's in your closet. If we're constantly looking outside of ourselves and comparing ourselves to other people, that's how we can really get into this trap of spending on things we don't need. We think if we just had more, if we just buy more, if we just shop more, that then we'll feel good about ourselves. But that's not the reality. We first have to feel good about ourselves internally. When you work on creating that inner peace with yourself, then you're not going to need to look for it outside of yourself through shopping or buying things you don't actually need. But this has to start with you. It really has to be an intention that you create for yourself and that you practice, because the only way you're going to get good at something is by practicing it. So if you're going to practice spending and shopping whenever you're bored or you've had a bad day, that's what you're going to get good at. You're going to keep shopping and spending, shopping and spending. But if you want to stop that cycle, you need to bring more awareness into what you're doing and how you're feeling and find new ways and create new habits that will actually help you long term. So I hope this video gave you some insights and a new way to look at your spending habits and your shopping habits, and gave you some simple practical tools that you can start using to change your behaviors and your habits so that not only are you not spending on things you don't need, but you actually feel more fulfilled in your life. Let me know in the comments if you're going to choose to do one of these tips, or maybe you've already started one of these new habits and how it's going. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks for being here, and I will see you next week.